Tasty Techniques. I'm Jonathan, and today I'm going to show you how to make cheese-stuffed cheeseburgers and the best darn homemade french fries that you've ever had. We've got a lot to cover, so you want to make sure you check out my blog. Links in the description. We got to get started. We got a lot to cover. Let's go. Mise en place for the cheeseburgers will consist of 1 pound of ground hamburger meat, 4 slices of your cheese of choice. I'm using classic good old American cheese here. Plenty of kosher salt, black pepper if you so desire, and just some oil to lubricate. Let's get the assembly line going. Okay, so we have the pound of meat here. We're going to make 4 hamburgers, so we need to break this into 4 pretty much equally sized pieces. Like I've said before, equal sizes means equal cooking time, and that's what we're looking for. So I'm just going to imagine an equator here, and then kind of just a vertical line here, and I'm going to split that up into the 4 quadrants. If you notice that some are noticeably larger or smaller than some of the others, you can kind of just take some apart and fill in the gaps here, just so we have pretty equal. So now we're going to roll these into loose balls. And now the stuffing process. I'm going to take one of my burger balls here, and I'm just going to divide it in half, roughly. And then I'm going to take one of the halves, this one here, and I'm going to round it out even more. And I'm going to smush it down. I like to do this on my board too. I'm going to smush it down into a nice flat little disc, so that way we're making the burger into 2 halves here. Parchment's not staying still. And then we're going to put the cheese right in the middle. So that's our base for burger number 1. Now we need to get our cheese. Hey, my cheese is here. Sweet. 1 slice of cheese per burger. I like to fold it into quarters. It almost forms like a tower of cheese here. Put it right in the center of the burger and kind of press down just a little bit. Now, the other half that's still in ball form, we're going to round it out again and flatten this one out too. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you do want it relatively the same size as the bottom portion. I'm just going to flatten here. Again, don't worry about it being perfect, but it does need to be decent sized. And once that's all flattened out, go ahead and take it off your board, put it right on top of the burger with cheese, and sort of just crimp the edges just a little bit. And now I like to take it off the board and kind of just fold the edges on top of each other. Again, this doesn't have to be perfect. You're going to end up eating this anyway. So I like to just roll it around in my hand. With my thumb here, I'm kind of pushing up so that the lip is forming, and then this other hand, I'm kind of sealing it. So it's a 2-hand motion here. Just spin, spin, spin. And you don't want to treat the meat too rough. Don't go banging it around or really going nuts on it, because you're going to make your burgers tough. But so you're just spinning around, make it look nice and pretty here. And then, there, look at that. That looks nice, right? It's not too plump. It's good size. Cheese in the middle. If you don't tell anybody, they'll never know. So I'm going to go ahead and repeat that process with the rest of my burgers, and we're almost ready to grill. With all my burgers done, and they look pretty nice, I must say, we're not going to salt them or pepper them just yet. We're going to get the grill going, but now would be a really good time to start thinking about toppings and sides that you would want with your burgers. I've got a few things in mind for mine. With all my burgers formed and my bacon heating up, I'm going to go ahead and go outside and heat up my grill. And I realize everyone's grill is different. I've got a gas grill. I'm going to turn my 2 burners and I'm going to use up to high. And we're going to let that preheat for about 10 minutes. Mise en place for the entire process of frying potatoes consists of Idaho baking potatoes. You'll want to wash those and scrub them pretty clean. They're probably dirty. A large container that can hold the potato slices plus a bunch of cold water to keep them wet. More kosher salt and black pepper if you so desire. And some... oh, hold on. There we go, some oil for deep frying. Breaking down this potato for French fries is a lot like breaking down the carrot that we did for the fried rice, except we're not going to cut it into small little squares. So with the potato facing long ways, take your knife and you're just going to cut strips basically out of the potato. Try to keep your knife as straight as possible so you don't have like one edge that's completely wider than the other. And again, of course, you want your slices to be about the same size so that they cook evenly. So now you should have these wedges, kind of like that. So I'm going to place these off to the side. And I'm going to start with the middle slice first because it's the most even. It doesn't have that round edge. So then with that, again, facing stable on the board, flat side down, you're just going to make your strip cuts right down like this. And of course, these are your French fries. So you get as many slices as you want depending on how thick or thin, get off there, you want your French fries. So I'm going to go like that. And these are pretty big, but that's fine. And now once they're cut, we're going to go ahead and put them in the water. Nothing fancy with the water, it's just tap water. And I'm going to complete the cuts on this potato and the other potato. Now with the last of my potatoes going in their little bath, I will take this moment to say that this step right here is not only going to prevent your potatoes from turning brown, but it's also going to wash away some of the extra starch and it's going to help them become nice and fluffy on the inside when we start to cook them. But don't think you have to do this right away. I've actually seen restaurants do this a day ahead of time and then just put them in the fridge. So go ahead and do this and we'll get the oil ready for our deep frying. So while my potatoes are in their little bath, we move our attention to the burgers. Now, I'm about 2 minutes out from my grill being completely preheated, so I'm going to go ahead and liberally season each burger with some kosher salt. Again, being even with all of the burgers, it helps if you have your hand up in the sky above the burgers. I like black pepper. Flip and repeat. Now remember that little bit of oil that I mentioned in the beginning that you need for the burgers? We're going to apply that right now. And it's just a few drops to lubricate. Just on each one. Just a little bit. Go ahead and rub that in. And we're going to flip and repeat. This is going to help even browning and getting the heat into the burgers as quickly as possible. Alright, with that done, it's about time we start grilling. Okay, back to the great outdoors. Now, with my grill preheated now, it's about 400 degrees, which is quite nice. Going to apply the burgers to the grill. Now, your mileage may vary, but I'm going to set mine for 4 minutes. 4 minutes, and then I'm going to flip. Depending on your grill, you may need to go longer or shorter. Just play around with it. Don't be afraid to take them off a little sooner. It's easier to recook it than uncook it, which is actually impossible. So I'm going to close my lid and set my timer for maybe 3.5 minutes. I lied. 3.5 minutes and I'll come back and flip them. Und now we flip. I don't know why I said it like that. I'm going to close my lid again and wait 3.5 minutes. Another 3 minutes and my burgers are ready to come off. So I'm going to scoop up. In the time between this last time, I got my plate ready. If you see any fissures opening up on the sides of your burgers and any cheese leaking out, that's okay. Don't worry about it. And now we go back inside to finish up. Let your burgers sit out on the counter for a couple minutes while you get everything else together. That'll help the juice redistribute throughout the burger, and so when you cut into it, it won't just be juice central down on your plate. Now we're going to get started with the French fries. I have a deep fryer, so I'm going to go ahead and use that. If you don't have a deep fryer, don't fret. I have everything that you're going to need also. You just have to tweak your procedure a little bit. The first thing you're going to need is a large saucier or stock pot. This one's 3.5 quarts. You want to fill it about 2/3 of the way up with peanut oil. You'll also need a frying thermometer, also might be known as a candy thermometer. This will help you know, of course, what temperature that your oil is at. Most of them have a little clip on the back so it can hang up on the side of your pan to let you know what the oil temperature is. And finally, you're going to need one of these bad boys. This is called a spider. Now normally I'm arachnophobic, but this will help scoop everything out of the oil so you're not fishing in there with your hands and giving yourself 4th degree burns. But since I have a deep fryer, I'm not going to use these tools. These are just here to help you. I'm going to go ahead and dump my oil in and set it to 330 degrees. If you're using the stove top, pour your oil into your pan and put it over high heat, but you want to keep an eye on it. Oil heats up a lot faster than water. Also, and technically, the target temperature that we're looking for is about 325 degrees. I like to set my oil a little bit higher because when we add the potatoes in, the temperature is going to drop a little bit. So keep that in mind and let's get going. Frying is all about procedure, and the better prepared you are, the better your results are going to be. In their current state, these potatoes cannot go in the fryer. They're soaking in water and they need to be dry. So I've got a line of paper towels here. So I'm going to take a small handful of the fries. Well, they're not fries yet, but potatoes. I'm going to shake them out a little bit and put them in the middle of the paper towels here, and we can kind of do a decent amount here. I have a long strip of paper towels. So it'll go like that. And I've still got some left over. That's okay. I'd rather do it in batches and get it all done right. So with that all done, I'm just going to take the end here and just start rolling it over. Roll, roll, roll. Roll it all the way. All the way, all the way. Kind of crimp the ends if you want, and just kind of play around with it. You want to make sure that everything is as dry as possible. If you don't, you put a wet potato in there, you could have popping and flare-ups. It could be a mess. So with these all dry, which they are now, very nice, I'm going to place them on standby on a plate while my oil heats up, and I'll finish these guys. So my oil is now ready, as indicated by a green light that I have telling me. But to finish setting up my station, I have a lipped sheet tray here lined with some paper towels. So when the potatoes come out of the fryer, they're going to go right onto here. So let's get to frying. Now you want to do these in relatively small batches, because if you use too many at a time, your oil temperature is going to drop dramatically. So try to find pieces that are similar in size. By nature, you're going to have pieces that are a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller. Just try to get them the uniform ones first. And if you have a tray like this, you can just line them up. If you don't, you can go ahead and put them in your spider and slowly load them into your hot pan. So I think that's a good enough little batch for right now. And we're going to lower in. Now, not a whole lot is going to happen right off the bat, but let's get a little shaky, and we'll get in there and start poking around. This phase is not about browning, it's about cooking the inside. So it's going to probably be about 2 minutes, and we're going to take them out. I'll show you that then, but we're not looking for any browning. If you see any, go ahead and take them out and put them on the pan, because browning is the next phase. So I'm going to let this go and come right back. The evacuation time is upon us. Now, I did get a little bit of browning, especially around the edges of the potato. That's actually okay. That's a better indicator of what you're looking for. So I'm going to let these drain just a little bit and dump these out into my paper towels. There we go. Just kind of toss this around to get the excess oil off. Now, here's the fun fact. At this point, right now, dry these off as well as you possibly can. Get all the excess oil off of there. And you can actually put these in a zipper bag, put them in your freezer for next time, and then all you have to do is heat oil up, jack your oil temperature up to 375, which we're going to do in a minute, and then dump those in the oil, and you have homemade French fries, and you don't have to go through the hassle of cutting them, blanching them, which is what we just did, blanched them in this hot oil, and then fry it again. You've already got the first couple of steps done. So with these sitting out, I'm going to make sure they're all dry, finish the rest of my fries, and while those are going, I'm going to go ahead and start cutting my vegetables for my hamburger. With my batch of potatoes all blanched in the warm oil, I've gone ahead and set my fryer to as hot as it goes, 375 degrees. I recommend you use peanut oil when you're frying French fries because it has a high smoke point. You're not going to burn down your house. But if you can see, the potatoes here are just lightly gold, and they're still very, very soft, and they're still limp. That's because the inside is cooked, but the exterior, well, it's not that appealing. With this high temperature, we're going to crisp the outside and get it nice and golden brown, and then we're going to season them up and have dinner. Okay, so just like before, I'm going to work in small batches, carefully putting in the potatoes into my tray, and they're still kind of hot because I just finished frying them the first time, which is fine. But if you do this ahead of time, you can take them straight from the freezer and put them in the oil like in 3 seconds. You don't have to worry about defrosting them or anything like that. If you do that, though, you want to be really careful because you could get a bunch of splatters if there's ice crystals on there and stuff. I'm going to load up my basket. I've also put on a fresh batch of paper towels on my sheet tray. And I've got my pepper and salt standing by. And I get one more in there. And here we go. Now this phase is just going to go until they meet your desired color. So just keep an eye on them and take them out when they reach that beautiful French fry golden brown color. Should take about another 2 minutes. Well, this round of potatoes looks done. Nicely golden, and a lot of the bubbling stopped while they were in the oil, so I'm going to drain briefly and dump on my tray. There we go. And just like before, I'm going to toss around a little bit, but instead of getting them completely dry right now, while they are scorching hot, I'm going to go ahead and add some salt and some pepper. Obviously you don't need pepper, I love it. And then toss again, just to get all the excess oil off. Well, there you have it. It may look a little difficult, but with a little practice, especially the French fries can be done ahead of time, and a lot of the work you can do all at once, and then you've got French fries in your freezer ready to go. Way better than any store-bought frozen fries that you get, and you put all your love into it. So you can cut them however you want, however long, short, wide, thick. Just be careful about your frying time. And also be careful about deep frying. Personally, I had sort of a bad experience a couple of years ago, but I overcame that, and now I've become very good at frying food, and it's not greasy. It's just really, really tasty. So I'm going to take a bite of this and show you the inside of my beautiful burger, as well as all my delicious toppings. I hope you come back next week for a new episode of Tasty Techniques. Thank you for watching this one, and please check out my Twitter account, subscribe to this channel, rate this video 5 stars, like it, do everything you gotta do, share it, and help me get the word out about Tasty Techniques. I really appreciate you stopping by, and I'll see you next week.
It's too big.